Lesson 107. Indirect speech with questions, imperatives and requests. Questions. What do we do when we change a question from direct into indirect speech?
When we change a question from direct into indirect speech, we move the verb one step back into the past. We use asked instead of said, and we do not use the question form or a question mark.
Give me an example, please.
I asked them what they wanted to drink.
If the question does not contain a question word, what do we use instead?
If the question does not contain a question word, we use the word if or whether instead.
Give me an example, please.
He asked her if or whether she spoke English.
Now, I will ask you some questions, and I want you to tell me what I said. How old are you?
You asked me how old I was.
Do your parents speak English?
You asked me if my parents spoke English.
Can you play the piano?
You asked me if I could play the piano.
Imperatives. Command. What do we do when we change an imperative from direct into indirect speech?
When we change an imperative from direct into indirect speech, we use told, commanded, or ordered, and we use the infinitive without to instead of the imperative.
Give me an example, please.
The king commanded him to leave.
With negative imperatives, what do we do?
With negative imperatives, we put not before the infinitive.
Give me an example, please.
His mum told him not to get home late.
Now, I will give you some orders, and I want you to tell me what I said. Stand up.
You told me to stand up.
Don't look at your book.
You ordered me not to look at my book.
Correct your dictations.
You told me to correct my dictations.
Requests. What do we do when we change a request from direct into indirect speech?
When we change a request from direct into indirect speech, we use asked, and we can use the same constructions that we use for indirect questions or imperatives.
Give me an example, please.
We asked them if they could show us the way. Or, we asked them to show us the way.
Now, I will make some requests, and I want you to tell me what I said. Could you lend me your book, please?
You asked me if I could lend you my book. Or, you asked me to lend you my book.
Would you help me with my luggage, please?
You asked me if I would help you with your luggage. Or, you asked me to help you with your luggage.
Will you be quiet for a moment, please?
You asked me if I would be quiet for a moment. Or, you asked me to be quiet for a moment.
House. Home. Generally speaking. Housework. Wash up. Housewife. What, generally speaking, is the difference between the words house and home?
Generally speaking, the difference between the words house and home is that we use house when we are thinking about a physical building, whereas we use home in a more abstract sense to mean the place where we live or come from.
What time do you usually get home at the end of the day?
I usually get home at about 9:30 at the end of the day.
Do you think it's a good thing for boys and girls to leave home when they are teenagers?
No, I don't think it's a good thing for boys and girls to leave home when they are teenagers.
Why not?
Because they are not ready to be completely independent.
What's a housewife?
A housewife is a woman who does not have a job outside the home, but takes care of her home and family instead.
What's the difference between housework and homework?
The difference between housework and homework is that housework is the work we have to do in the house, such as washing, cleaning, washing up, etc., whereas homework is the work a pupil has to do at home.
Idiom 8. I couldn't care less equals it is of no interest or importance to me. What does the idiom I couldn't care less mean?
The idiom I couldn't care less means it is of no interest or importance to me.
Give me an example, please.
She has lost her job, but she says she couldn't care less because she can easily find another.